This is a stabilization of the new GoPro Hero 5 compared to my FeiyuTech Wearable Gimbal. Let's get at it. So right when the GoPro Hero 5 came out, what I was really psyched about that the most was not necessarily all the different shooting modes, the waterproofness, the better microphone. What I was super excited about was the image stabilization of the camera itself. I felt like the footage just with the normal GoPro, I had a GoPro Hero 4, really was borderline / not acceptable, and a lot of you guys really kind of said that, and you guys were nice enough to not be so mean about it and to gently push me towards that. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed the last 3 videos that I have just launched with the wearable gimbal. That said, we're going to go through a little bit of an exercise. We're going to compare Mike's video of a GoPro 5 and my video of my GoPro 4 with my FeiyuTech WG Wearable Gimbal, side by side. In A, smoother terrain, B, really rough terrain, and then C, I'm going to show you a little bit of the cool effects that you may be getting with a gimbal when you are shooting with a mountain bike. So specifically, I wanted to show you guys what the GoPro 5's image stabilization really can do and what it really can't do in terms of mountain biking. Here's the setup. As you guys know, the last time we were in Pisca, I rented a Santa Cruz Hightower 27.5 Plus. What you're seeing right now is with the wearable gimbal in a smooth trail. That same day, Mike actually also rented a Santa Cruz Hightower, and it is a 29er that he rented. I get it. It's not the same exact thing because we're different riders, lines, and all that kind of stuff. Hey, but at least it's the same bike. That being said, what you're going to see immediately in this next clip is that this is the image stabilization of the GoPro 5. You'll immediately notice that it is a little bit rough, but it certainly is still acceptable. You will notice that when the trail kind of bucks a little bit, you could almost see the frame twist a little bit and rotate. What you're going to see now is a side-by-side of the same trail, except it's a little bit more further down. You'll immediately notice when it's side-by-side, although you can see the handlebars kind of both jitter up and down, the background is really the big difference. You will see on the left, in my point of view, with a wearable gimbal, it is much smoother when you compare it to the right. Now, we're going to compare it on rough terrain. You'll be able to see that although that the bike still kind of jitters up and down, the entire shot remains steady. This right here is actually pretty smooth, but as this gets a little rowdy down this hill, just notice that although there is some movement in the background, it is a very high quality, stabilized footage. On the same part of the trail, you will immediately notice that twisting or rotating effect of the background is much more apparent on rough terrain in Mike's footage. So at this point in time, you'll be able to see that it is in fact still usable, it's just not as smooth. Now this is the smooth part of this particular section. As he gets into the rougher part, that twisting and rotating, as I said before, on the background becomes very much apparent. But if you're really not looking for it, man, it's still great footage. this is what it is side by side. Now, you'll notice I'm not really going to show you guys the footage of a GoPro or any action camera without image stabilization because honestly, it's just not good. If you really want to see it, just go to my previous videos because that's what I had before. I didn't have a wearable gimbal and I don't have a GoPro 5 with stabilization. Third part of this exercise I said is the kind of cool effect that you get from a wearable gimbal. I'm going to leave a link of what the wearable gimbal looks like. But basically what it does is that it allows you and the bike to move around the camera. So you get this cool effect of when you're actually railing a berm, it actually looks like it's like a wall ride. Now, when you look at mics, it just looks like a normal thing because the camera stays put on your chest or your head or wherever you're going to mount it. But when you actually see it side by side, you'll be able to see that in my footage with a wearable gimbal, it actually looks like I'm doing a wall ride. Like right now, see that left? How it almost looks like I'm sticking to the right of the camera while Mike on the same part of the trail does not look that way. I have to admit though, the image stabilization of the GoPro 5 is pretty impressive. I mean, think about it. You don't have the added complication of having a gimbal and a GoPro, not to mention the added cost. That being said, there is also another thing that I kind of like with just using the GoPro 5, aside from the simplicity of it. It's the fact that you still get that raw feeling of riding your mountain bike. It's not completely smooth. Every time there's a bump, you still kind of see it. It actually looks like you're going faster still than that riding with a gimbal. Sometimes I feel like when I'm riding with a gimbal and I'm actually looking at the footage, it almost looks like I'm floating as if it is captured on a drone. I don't know, I hope that makes sense, but yeah, that's just another observation. Well, I hope that helped you guys out. I hope you guys really saw what the image stabilization of the new GoPro 5 really can do and what you really can expect, especially for mountain biking. I find this especially relevant because if you're road riding or walking down the street, that stabilization is certainly good enough. But for those that mountain bike, it may just not be, depending on the terrain that you really ride. So, I hope you guys liked that video. Certainly share, subscribe, check out my page on Instagram and Facebook for those of you guys that prefer Facebook more than Instagram. Certainly I'll be uploading my videos there as well. So, that's it. Thanks a lot, guys.